skill, speed, intelligence, elite level athleticism. That's not these guys. Biased, one-eyed, opinionated, more often wrong than right. They make up for their complete lack of talent with pure dribble, gibberish, and enthusiasm. This is the ET Stand Podcast.
Welcome to the ET Stand, the Sharks fans podcast where we let our talking do the football. We're in all the usual places: YouTube, Spotify, Facebook, Instagram, Apple, podcast, wherever you guys want us to be, we'll be there. If we aren't there, let us know and we'll make sure we get there. While listening, don't forget to like and subscribe. It really helps with everything we do, especially on nights like tonight. We've also got a Discord channel where fans can chat 24/7 Sharks and any other malarkey you feel like you need to. The link is in the chat and we'll pop it in the description below. Joining me tonight is Lats, the man who can pull quotes from just about any movie. Happy Gilmore, Ace Ventura, Wayne's World. If you want to see a quote from Lats, give him a super chat and he'll bust out a quote for us. I'm pretty terrible at this stuff. All I've got is may the force be with you, and if it bleeds, we can kill it. Bonus points if you can pick those movies. More points than the Sharks got this weekend. Whew, how you going, Lats, after that one?
Mate, at no point during that match was I comfortable, thinking we'd win. Just heartbreaking, and to do it with a penalty goal in golden points, just flat, mate.
Yeah,
Disgusting.
It's certainly difficult. For those that can't see us, they're listening on audio. I've got my little subtitle there saying "This is why so pessimistic." On Tuesday night, it read "Why be so pessimistic?" Well, yes, this is why. And I'll say it was interesting because I saw the Luai interview just before kickoff on Channel 9 before flicking over to Fox. And he interviewed very well, said all the right things, and just listening to him speak, it got me nervy. I was like, okay, they're up for this game. And they certainly showed for most of that game that they were ready for a fight. Now we got plenty of people in the chats, in the comments, they're ready to jump in and have their say. We will certainly get the link up to let you guys in and have a bit of a rant and a rave. Obviously, keep it PG, but we are more than welcome to let you in and give you an opportunity to decompress through like-minded fans of the ET Stand podcast. I guess we'll go through the play-by-play. It's not great, but it is something that we normally do. So we'll give that a run through, give everyone a bit of a reminder of what happened through that game, and then have a bit of a chat. We've got a whole bunch of talking points to go through for this one. In the 8th minute, after basically going set for set, we give away a penalty and give the Tigers a piggyback downfield. Attacking the line, Luai to Galvin, who runs straight at Nico. Ramian comes in to assist, but Galvin pokes his nose through and gets an offload out to Finau, who's able to slice through untouched for a try. I'm not exactly sure Ramian needed to come in on that one. Nico has shown that he's pretty solid one-on-one, and on a similar size body like Galvin, you'd expect him to make that tackle and leave Ramian available there to lock down the offload. But maybe it's a case of damned if you do, damned if you don't. If he stays out there and Nico does miss the tackle, well then, we're probably calling for his head either way. So either way, yeah, it was a bit of a soft try, but I would have said that Ramian probably could have stayed out wide on that one. 27th minute, after multiple repeat sets, the Tigers are building pressure. They swing it wide and deep. There doesn't seem to be anything on, but Toa gets the ball and he starts something from nothing, getting around and pushing away from Hiroti. He's then able to flick the ball out to Taruva, who skirts the sideline and scores in the corner. Now, Hiroti, as we found out, did succumb to injury and didn't play the full game. His leg was heavily strapped. Not sure when it went on him. if it was in relation to this and that's why he was able to be beaten. Not trying to make excuses for him, but obviously something to be aware of in this try scoring opportunity. So wasn't 100% fit, which was a bit of a shame, and was certainly stood up there in that one. In the 39th minute, the Sharks push for some quick play of the balls, and it gets us downfield better than we've seen all half. The ball is sent through the hands and gets to Rami, and he stands in a tackle and offloads to Kennedy. Kennedy, after beating a tackle, is also able to offload to Hines, who runs at the line and finds Ronaldo coming through the middle at speed. He collects the ball and runs 30 to score under the posts. So after really doing nothing all half, we finally run straight and hard. We get some pretty good field possession out of it, and then a bit of Hail Mary, and away we go. Half time, the Tigers are in front 10 points to 6. I mean, that was pretty good. I'll take that. And I sort of think we learnt a bit from that, not to mention obviously having the breeze behind us. We certainly pick up the pace in the second half. In the 48th minute, Nickera is binned after getting Luai high, which sees the Tigers take the 2. What's your thought on that hit, Lats?
Yeah, look, mate, I didn't think there was much into it. I thought he was falling into it. Mate, as we've seen all week, this whole head high crackdown's been an absolute farcical event. It's just stopping the game. It's holding the game up, and it's frustrating fans alike. Like, everyone you speak to's over it. I don't know how long it's going to continue, but yeah, it's pretty annoying, mate. It's pretty annoying. The game's getting very soft.
Yeah, I definitely made contact with the head, but gosh, I don't know if that was binnable. Obviously, as you said, with this weekend's crackdown and last weekend's ramping up of this crackdown, it almost seems like this is crackdown 2.0. I suppose, look, you got to raise your hands and go, okay, this is trying to be consistent. But really, it wasn't one that I would have thought you would be sent for the bin. But we'll take that. We'll take the good with the bad. But we'll certainly get into the good and the bad in a minute. 51st minute, the set after points, Galvin put the bomb up in high into the wind, and it's left to bounce. It bounces on the 30 in no man's land and takes a wicked bounce across the field to De Silva, who toes it forward, regathers and scores. There was a bit of a question mark on whether or not Bird was onside. I would have said probably was not onside, but ultimately, geez, it wasn't a good look letting the ball bounce there in traffic the way it did. I wasn't happy about that more than I was about them sort of ignoring the Bird positioning. Yeah. What do you reckon,
No one wanted to go near that ball. They didn't want a piece of it. Even after it bounced, it was still standing around. Kennedy had a crack, but by that stage it was too far. De Silva was through, and mate, just effort, just no effort there in that play. It was pretty disappointing.
Yeah, agreed. In the 56th minute, off a strong AFB run, Brayley gets a quick play of the ball and shoots down the blind side. He gets it to Hines, who throws a long cutout pass to Mulatalo, who reels it in and then drops the ball onto his foot, grubbering past the defensive line. Burns, trailing through, collects it and runs about 20 metres. He's got Kennedy in support on the inside, who receives the ball and goes the rest to score under the posts. This was pretty. Really enjoyed watching this one, and it just sort of shows, I think, where the Sharks are at the moment. We seem to be more threatening and more on from our own half with a bit of ad-lib play than what we are when we're 20 out with 5 tackles up our sleeves to try and pull something out.
Yep.
So I don't know how I feel about that. There was certainly a period of time where we were complaining about never being able to do anything from within our own half, but at the moment, we've certainly got something there. It's generally off the cuff. It's generally guys throwing the ball around a bit and trying to do something with it. But it just seems we've gone backwards when we're in the red zone, and that's a bit of a concern, I think. We might touch on that a little bit later as well. In the 64th minute, Pole he gets retroactively binned for forceful contact to the head on Hazleton. You gave our thoughts on the last one. What did you make of this one?
Mate, I thought that was even more of a joke. I don't think he should have been sent off for that. I thought that was ridiculous. It's just reactive to this rule, and it's slowing the game up. It's annoying fans, and mate, I'll tell you what, it's going to lose some supporters if we keep this up.
Yeah, I think, look, again, by law of the law, shoulder contact was made to the head. They do call it forceful, but really it was a light bump. He was third man in on the tackle. Hazelton was pushing for post-contact meters. It's almost as if Hazelton had bumped Pollay's shoulder.
Yeah. There's no emphasis on the runner. Oh, sorry, on the player getting tackled, because quite often you see it, and I thought I saw that with the Luai one too. Like with Britt, I thought he ducks his head under his shoulder, and the top of his head makes contact. Like it's because he's put the point of his head into that position. So there's no emphasis there. I think they've got to look at that. Yeah, it was. Yeah. I would have been very upset if it was a Sharks player binned for that one. So I can only stay the course and say I'm a bit upset for Tigers fans there. However, a couple of plays later, Hines to Burns. It gets Burns one-on-one with Galvin, and he sort of tramples through a score next to the post. Gets up, full of vigor and emotion, which is great to see. Good deserving try there for Burns. This is spoilers. The only try we score while they're a man down, so it ends up being 1-for-1 between the two sides. So not too much damage, I guess, and it's tit for tat in terms of what gets done while someone's in the bin. A couple plays later, after not attempting any field goals on multiple occasions, time's starting to run out, and Hines throws up an attempt from halfway, and it bounces off the posts. It's a pretty good kick. It's got a lot of height on it, a lot of distance. Especially with the breeze at his back, but yeah, just hits the post and bounced back into the field of play, which unfortunately means we don't get the field goal. But then we got another attempt a bit later on with 40 seconds to go. There's a charge down, which gets us another set, but we lose the ball 5 out from the try line with Atkinson sort of dropping it in a tackle, and this sends us into Golden Point at 18 points all. Tigers win the toss and they go with the breeze. Now, this was a pretty disheartening moment. Very important toss to win, and Tigers get it, and we're up against it from that point. However, we get the first shot after May drops the ball, but it is charged down. It's then compounded by Kennedy knocking on in regathering, and then compounded again by a high tackle the next play. That high tackle, I also thought, was a scenario of a ball carrier ducking their head into the arm of a defender. But nevertheless, Tigers get great field position for their attempt. And in this scenario, it's a little bit of a weird one where it goes to Luai. Don't know if he thinks that the Sharkies guys are getting up on him too quick, but he ends up dishing it wide to Dewey, who he hooks it and misses the attempt. So we get a bit of a reprieve, something we weren't expecting there, and Sharks fans hold on. In the second Golden Point stanza, Sharks have the breeze. We're doing really well. We get in range, but execution isn't great. And it's a similar scenario to Tigers, where Hines gets the ball, but then dishes it out to Trindle, and then he misses it, gives the Tigers a 7-tackle set. And with the Tigers attacking, they do make good ground. They've got that extra tackle. They're about 25 out and in range. Don't know if it was to try and slow the ball down, or if it was just fatigue. However, they don't need a field goal attempt because Hazelton gets pinged for stripping the ball. That sees Dewey take the 2 and win them the game. Full time, the Tigers win 20 points to 18, and just devastated. Mate, I don't know about you, but that was gut-wrenching. There were moments of that game where it just felt inevitable that the Sharks were going to lose, and in great Sharks fans fashion, we got hope again. We thought we were in, and then it's dashed away. So
take us through your emotions, buddy.
Yeah, mate. Look, the only time I felt confident or semi-confident in that match was when we got through that first 5-minute period of Golden Point and had the breeze at our backs. I thought, yeah, we're a chance, but just, mate, poor game management around the field goals. Don't forget we had Atkinson out there who we know can slot one as well and has done a couple of times for us before. But yeah, we just didn't seem to be structured at all during those. The only decent shot being Hines' first one. Mate, it's just frustrating. Like classic Sharks, as you can see in my
Classic Sharks. We've got a few comments here.
Sorry, Franco, before you move on, I just want to go back to what your thoughts were on the charge down that led to their 7th tackle set, which got them down the field. Trindle went straight to the ref and said it was touched. Looked like that on the TV. Looked like there was a hand on it. They briefly looked over it, I assume, and told inconclusive. At such a big point of the game, I would like to see a little bit more, I don't know, a little bit more of a look at it than that. But
yeah, it's an interesting question, Lats, because I actually thought I wanted a bit more of a look at the previous charge down in the first Golden Point where Buller basically bumps it 20 odd meters downfield in his charge down, and then contests the ball with Kennedy, where they deemed Kennedy to have knocked it on.
Yep.
I would have liked a bit more of a look at that one, to be honest. It almost seems like simultaneous touching, I suppose. So, I guess we'll live by that one, but I would have liked a few more looks. For the second one, I know Trindle's there. He's probably got the best view out of anyone. Footballers aren't exactly known for telling the truth all the time, but the view we got, the ball in the hand was out of shot, so we didn't really get to see if there was a touch. Saw that the hand was close to the ball, but fingertips and the ball was as I said, out of shot, and we never really got a different angle or anything for us to look at it. That said, that doesn't mean that the bunker isn't looking at other angles and doing slow-mos and whatever that the camera director, the TV director isn't showing us. So I've got to just assume that they saw something there that made them confident that it wasn't touched, because we weren't shown anything to the contrary. I'm sure if there is a shot there that somewhere shows a hand on the ball, it'll come out as fish and chip wrapper in a couple of days. But as it stands, yeah, you got to go with the call there, which was unfortunate.
Yep.
So yeah, we've got plenty of comments here. Bit of a theme. Rob says, "Let me on." He has vitriol to spew. Keeping it in is doing him harm. So yes, Rob, we'll definitely put the link up, let you in and have a go, mate. We want everyone to survive the night. Mike Knight says, "How much do we want him to vent? Vent away, my friend. Vent away. Just like I said, keep it PG." Ashley says, "We're trash." Well, either we're trash. It's just the one word, trash. Were we trash? Was the game trash? Were the refs trash? All of the above. I'm not sure. But yeah, wasn't great.
Could be us as hosts, Franco.
Yeah, correct. We could be trash, correct. SJD says, "More annoying than that loss were the Channel 9 commentators. Despicable." Now, I didn't see the 9 game. What was that one like, Lats?
Mate, ridiculous. Not to mention, I don't know. I think it might have been James Bracey came out and said that a Sharks player hasn't won the Dally M since Preston Campbell back in, was it 01? Might need to do a bit of a history check there, mate. But, mate, it just seems to be whenever we're playing, they are on the back of whoever we're playing.
Yeah, right.
We saw it last week, Johnsy with the Knights. And this week, it's, I guess, around the whole Lachlan Galvin situation. It was the underdog story, but yeah, bloody annoying to listen to, mate.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, fair enough. Maybe it's a recorded game I won't be going back to watch. We'll see. We'll see how I feel, but chances are slim. Ashley comes through and he says, "Dropped balls, penalties, drop ball, penalty, drop ball. What do we do in training?" It was certainly a sloppy game. There was a bit of a mess. We were better in the second half. We'll sort of talk about that as well, but we were very messy, very sloppy. Harley comes through and says, Kale Iro will return next week. Well, yeah, hopefully. We'll see. Obviously, with Hirotti's injury, we're going to need someone out there. So if Iro's back, then awesome. Mackenzie says, at least Will Kennedy was good. So, yeah, Will Kennedy had a pretty solid game. I think he can hold his head up high. There was obviously a couple of things that could have been a little bit better, but it would be absolutely nitpicking if we sort of hold him to task on those things. But yeah, he was good. You're right, Mackenzie. James Munro says, cannot wait to listen to all the dribble from the media all week about the triumphant return of Galvin. Oh boy, will that be a true word to be said there, James. My goodness, they're going to be going all over that. And you know what? It might even turn up the heat on the Tigers more than what they've had. But at this stage, that is certainly what they'll be talking about, how he came in, how he made them look a better team. It's going to be all them, isn't it? For sure. Then here we go. Benny Turner says, how cute. They all took turns in giving away a penalty or making a mistake. Yeah, it was. I don't know if it was that bad, Benny, but yeah, we weren't very disciplined in this one. We're gonna come back to Stuart's comment here. Then we've got SQDN. If we wait for the finals for 4 forwards on the bench, it will be too late. Yeah, so it's another one. SQDN, we're definitely going to chat about that. Atkinson basically got maybe not the perfect scenario of showing why he's on the bench, but another example of why he's on the bench to fill a role like centre. And we've said before, we've got Talakai on the bench that we feel could probably do that role as well. So it'd be interesting to hear some thoughts, Lats, on how you think Atkinson went filling in at centre.
Look, mate, he was okay. I think I think Talakai might have crossed right before the golden point thing there. He would have had the wheels to get over, but I don't know. I was concerned when he came on, Atkinson, because I thought Toa was going to, run right over him. But he held his own. He was okay without being too threatening.
So my thoughts on Atkinson is that he looked fine. Right, defensively, it wasn't the same as the Bulldogs scenario where he got stood up. He was a ball of energy, doing dummy half runs and taking runs out of our own end. So he did all that sort of stuff right, and can't fault him for that. But where it sort of came unstuck was in our set plays or running the ball. He just seemed to disjoint that side in attack, and he's I guess was looking to prop and step instead of just running hard, which we all know is an Iro thing. The last couple of weeks has shown Hirotti doing that. So if your outside man is expecting you to just run hard and take the line on, and instead of that happening, you're propping, stepping, and the defense is moving up on you, it just changes that whole dynamic of the attack on that side of the field. So maybe he needs to run a few more plays there with the boys through the week. But ultimately, I would have, after looking at that, would have much preferred to see Talakai there, especially given it was his side. Him back with Ronnie, it just would have made sense to me. I did say on Tuesday's episode that let's let Atkinson be on the bench. Let's let him do what he needs to do. The coach has a plan. The team has a plan. While we're winning, there's nothing wrong with keeping it going, but pressure will be applied when we lose. Well, not only did we lose, we lost with him getting an opportunity on the field. So I think questions need to be asked. I think in this scenario, we would have been better with 4 big boppers, big win behind our back, charging down the middle. I think we missed a trick here.
Yep.
Um,
Definitely.
so we then got a comment here from Adelmo. He says, "Where's Boldo? Is he in the fetal position?" Boldo, as always, has left us high and dry. He's over somewhere in the UK doing something,
Some
but
soccer match or something.
yeah, some soccer match, something, some other code.
Wrestling
But I
event or
don't.
something.
Yeah, I don't know if we'll ever see Boldo back again because we all know he's a closet Bears fan, and with the Bears being reintroduced, he might come back and start up a Bears podcast.
Uh,
So we'll see what happens there with Boldo. We might get a few cameos for him this season and the next, but he'll be gone by 2027. Rob says, love more of a look at both of those supposed knock-ons. So yeah, Rob's agreeing with us there. And then the touch from the Tigers player on Tricky's kick. So yeah, that's what we meant. Understood, buddy. Adelmo agrees with you. Channel 9 was disgraceful. Matt Thompson and Joey are ridiculous.
Must have been Matt Thompson that made that comment about the
Oh yeah, okay.
about the Dally M.
You don't have to go far back to see the last Dally M win for the Sharks. It's a bit of a weird faux pas from commentator, but anyway.
Yep.
Rob says, trigger warning, I'd rather self-harm than listen to the 9 commentators. Well,
it's pretty much the same thing.
If anyone out there needs support, there's helplines and whatnot, give them a call. We are here to help, but we are not professionals. So definitely going to get you in to have a bit of a rant, Rob. Stephen Hayes says, Vossi was riding the Tigers as well on Fox. He was a little bit more, I think he was a little bit more balanced. It didn't hurt that Ennis was there beside him. Not that Ennis shows his colours, but Vossi, I think, slanted towards the Tigers, but wasn't as bad as what it sounds like with the 9 commentators. Then Jared Zatt says the lads do realise that they can kick on the 5th instead of constantly running it, right? Good shout out, Jared. We saw that the last 2 weeks as well. There was a lot of dying with the ball on the 5th in say the opposition's 10. It's clearly something we've been coached to do, low risk play. Whether it's right or wrong, I guess jury's still out because we've won a couple of games doing it and now we've lost a game doing it. So I obviously would like to see a bit more of an expansive play or a little bit more attempts at trying to build pressure by getting repeat sets. But yeah, I think going dead with the ball on the 5th. What do you think, lads?
Yeah, mate. Look, I found that quite annoying too. I think on a couple of occasions we were caught on the 5th. Not knowing it was the 5th as well. I know Billy Burns was in the first half. He looked a little bit out of place in that first half. Came on better the second half. But mate, the thing that irked me, and I get what Jared's saying here. The thing that irked me more was we weren't testing and looking for that overlap when we had the extra man on the field. We just kept going up the middle, and that was frustrating. But yeah, mate, I thought the game management was pretty poor, and those 5th tackle options, followed that. So
okay, Rob's coming in and backing you here, mate, saying Atkinson was okay, but Talakai scores that try where Atkinson dropped the ball.
100%, mate. It's like Morgan
and
Harper.
you know what?
2.0.
If he doesn't score the tries, combination with Ronnie is so good. He gets the flick pass out to Ronnie, and Ronnie scores. So yeah, I think that's game over there if Talakai's in the centres. But that's all hypothetical at this stage. Stuart comes through with some goods. He says Channel 9 mentioned that Hiroti was an MCL injury, so we're going to be short next week if Iro isn't back. Could Atkinson play 80 next week? Oh, wow. I'm going to say, oh gosh, I'd like to say if Iro's not back and Atkinson's and Hiroti is out, I don't want to see Atkinson named in the centres. We've got a couple of young kids there. It's a hard one. I'm not entirely sure they're ready, but maybe we can. Yeah, exactly. Vale's looking good. An option might
Gabriel.
be to move Ronnie into the centres and put Dixon on the wing. That could be a good go. I think in the pre-season challenge, Dixon showed that he was up for that. Hasn't been bad in this Eels Cup, so yeah, I wouldn't be adverse to seeing that. Gabriel's, I wouldn't give him a go, unfortunately. I think he's still just a little bit too
green.
raw. But
he showed
yeah,
that in the trials, didn't he?
Yeah. He's going to be a great player, I reckon. I just don't think he's quite ready yet. And yeah, so look, we know the coach is low risk percentage plays, so it could be Atkinson named in the centres. We've sort of said a few times, and it's been commented on, that Talakai training in his new role probably can't do 80 minutes in the 3 or the 4. So yeah, maybe it is Atkinson. Oh, that's going to be a bit of a thing to watch out for. Stuart also says that we did miss Rudolph. We did miss Rudolph, but I didn't think Tapua was too bad.
No.
I think it just comes back to that. Would we have been better served having 4 boppers on the bench?
Yeah.
But yeah, Rudolph's quick play of the balls and solid defence. You're right. He was certainly missed.
We also had Jesse Colquhoun waiting in the wings there for a spot. He was 18th man.
Yeah,
so.
18th man, exactly. I'm getting a little bit excited to see him finally get on the field for us. Then look, we got another one from Rob here. He's getting the goods from our commenters here. The coach said Iro trained this week, but it was a small piece of string away from playing.
I see what you did there, Franco. Well played.
Yeah, you like that one? If I was quicker, I would have come up with a better simile, but we didn't quite get there. Jimmy asks, could Dykesy fill in at centre? He's back
Definitely
playing
not.
now. Well, guess what, Jimmy? I've got bad news for you, buddy. He over the weekend went down with a busted knee. So
another non-contact knee injury.
Yeah, another non-contact knee injury. So Dykesy is not an option for us, unfortunately. And fingers crossed. Obviously, waiting for scans. But hopefully, it's nothing too serious. But it's not looking good, mate. And we've just ruined Jimmy's night even more. He says, "Well, damn, that's definitely no good." Oh, there we go. Look, Stuart backs us up. He says it's a dislocated knee. So that's not good, but it's better than some of the alternatives. Pop that back in, and hopefully it's not too bad. And Trish says that game sucked big time. Yes, it did. It did suck indeed. All right, now I'm just going to get the link ready for you guys to jump in and have a bit of a chat. But while we do that, Lats, I'd like you to talk me through Mulatalo's challenge, his captain's challenge in the 7th minute of the game. What happens and what's going through his head? And are you okay with it?
Well, look, I see what he was doing. He's trying to exploit the crackdown on the rule of any head contact. The fact that the ball it bounced up off the ball, hit the face. Was it incidental contact? I think the term
correct
was used. We see a lot of those that get penalised. Where I know they're a lot harder. That this was just a bit of a slap. But how often do you see a bump up from a shoulder that then touches the head, and how is that not incidental contact? Or players falling in, or I know there's more force involved in that, but I see what he was trying to do. He thought he'd got one in the chops, and he was trying to get a penalty out of it. But it was not a good look. It was a pretty poor challenge.
I think the fact that it was a slap, an open palmed hand, really meant he was in a hiding to nothing. If it was a fist or a clenched hand, if it was a bicep or a shoulder, wins it every day of the week. But the fact that it's an open hand slap, and it probably wasn't even a slap, it was more of a rake as Bird was falling. I don't think that was on the cards. I don't think we were ever going to win that. but more to the point, you're right. It was very much a milking attempt, and at that stage, even if it was something a little bit more forceful, you're probably a 50-50 chance. And that early in the game, I'd rather hang on to my captain's challenge for something that's a bit more important later on.
Yep.
So yeah, I think maybe it was a bit of a mindset thing there to sort of show, is it a defeatist attitude to be, well, we need that challenge now. We need every inch we can get. We're going to try and get at something. And instead of let's defend our set, get the ball back and attack.
Stuart Campbell, I'll just put this comment up. He made a good point, saying the challenge was poor. Incidental contact, there was contact there. Why didn't we get to keep our challenge?
I actually thought the same thing.
Contact. Yep. There was contact.
Yep. I guess it's because, in theory, the on-field ref had already assumed that as being incidental contact, so play on, line dropout. Yep. So by the challenge not changing, either not changing the verdict or not changing the on-field ruling. So you see sometimes where you still don't get the ball back, but you retain your challenge because instead of it being a penalty, it's a knock-on or something like that. Yep. The ruling was left unchanged. It was still play on, line dropout, and that's why we probably didn't get our challenge back. So yeah, it was pretty frustrating to see. I wouldn't have gone for it, and if I was McInnes, I might have just told him, mate, reel it in, don't worry about it. Let's reload and go again.
Yep.
All right, I'll pop the link in here, guys, for anyone who wants to come in and have a chat and let us know your thoughts. Again, keep it PG. Hopefully we've got some kind of view that makes it look good for people with 3 heads instead of 2. We'll see what happens. While we're waiting for people to jump on, there was a big sort of chat from both Channel 9 and Fox in the pre-game build-up about May versus AFB. Both bookends, both big, solid runners having a good game, a good season. Did you pay attention to the May versus AFB, mate? And who do you think came out in front?
Mate, I've watched them both pretty closely. I thought they were pretty evenly matched. May, he did a couple of good things. It was probably a bit more of a standout. I thought AFB looked a little tired there towards the end. Yeah, look, maybe May by a whisker. I don't think there was much in it.
Yeah, I remember May tearing us apart when he was with the Roosters couple seasons ago, and he was off contract, and I was like, oh, geez, he'd be a good get if you could get him. Roosters locked him up. He had a bit of a quiet season, and then they dumped him for reasons unknown, and he's turned up at the Tigers and has been having a blinder this season. Always thought he would be a great pickup for someone. I think it was pretty close. He was pretty tight. Both players had a whale of a game. Here's some stats for you, lads. May played 85 minutes, so basically the full game. He had 28 runs for 216 meters, 68 post-contact meters with 3 tackle breaks, 28 hit-ups, 8 offloads, 41 tackles. That's huge. And this is where, and it's still really low numbers, but it was noticeable. 1 error and 2 penalties. Unfortunately noticeable because, well, that 1 error gave us that shot at field goal, even though we pooped the bed. That could have cost them the game. AFB, 64 minutes, so still a pretty good stint, 22 runs. Now, do you remember what I said May was in his meters? 216 meters. AFB, 215 meters.
Wow.
Whoa, 1 meter in it, maybe in the... exactly.
Yeah, so
20 less minutes.
Economical, isn't it?
Correct. 79 post-contact meters, so about 10 more in post-contact. These stats might get looked at in the wash-up, and they might drift or go either side. 6 tackle breaks, 21 hit-ups, 2 offloads, 32 tackles, still good numbers, and then only 1 error and no penalties. So, mate, this is that same small piece of string between them. But yeah, they both had monstrous games, and if we had to pick one, I'm quite happy with AFB. But geez, May had a really good game.
Yeah.
All right, we've got Rob. He, true to his word, jumped in, ready to go. He's got steam coming out of his ears. It looks like he's got something. Is that a broken TV off the side of the camera there? I can't tell. Welcome in, Rob, mate. Come on in. Let's see what we can do here to get you. Oh, mate, you're a black square there. Let's remove you. Try and bring you back in. No vision, Rob. What's going on, mate?
He shared his camera. He's in the green room.
Yeah, he's going to jump out and jump back in. We'll call it technical difficulties, but hopefully that's not our technical difficulty.
There it is, Franco.
See.
Rob's lost internet.
Oh, rightio. Whew. So not us.
He's back.
So we'll see if Rob can fix his internet issue and get back to us. I am going to, while we wait for him, see if I can do it on the fly. We'll do this one and this one. Okay, done. All right, Rob, we'll bring him in. We'll see how we go. There he is. How are you, Rob? You doing well, mate?
I'm I've actually in a time that I've.
Oh, internet's gone again.
I'm not as bad as I was post game. Everyone in my family is safe. Oh, have I lost the internet again?
No, you're back, mate. You're back. You're just a little bit jerky. We'll call you out when you're
all right.
When you're throwing things at your modem, but but all good, buddy. Yeah, we've got you. We've got you. You are a bit jerky. Now that may be a bit of method to our madness and giving you a bit of time to cool down before throwing up the link before we go live. Give you that little bit of cool down time. But mate, at what stage did you think we'd won the game, and at what stage did you think we'd lost the game?
Look, I never thought we won the game. I was just looking at it. I was at the Leichhardt game last year with a couple of Tigers mates because I live in the inner west.
Mm-hmm.
And I probably would have been there again if not for the weather. But I was just watching it and going, we were not up for this. Whether it's all the travel or whatever, we're not up for it. I often read the body language at the start of the game, and I looked at it, and it was poor. Just as you said, Luai's was positive, ours is poor. Look, but the thing I want to talk about is Nico. I'm not a Nico bagger. I'm not jumping that, but I do want to talk about it. And you can probably guess from behind me that I'm a bit of a history buff.
Mm-hmm.
When a Roman general, after winning a war, would enter Rome in victory, there would be someone in his chariot in the victory march through the center of the city, and they would be whispering, "Remember, you are mortal." Remember, repeatedly, "Remember, you are mortal." I just want somebody, whether it's a player or a runner, behind Nico every game saying, "Remember, you're better when you run. Remember, you're better when you run. Just bloody run."
Yeah.
That's a big shout out, Rob, because it's certainly something we were going to talk about later on. But hey, no time like the present.
Yeah.
Nico started running with about 25 to go.
Yeah.
And boy, did that change the dynamic of our team. We looked way better when he started doing that. The defense was a little bit more cautious. It gave everyone else more room to move.
Yeah.
We were looking great. Now, whether that was a strategic thing of, don't waste your energy running into the wind or wait till they're tired before starting to get on your bike. But you're right, Rob. We'd love to see more of that because when we wanted it, we were making yards through the middle, and we just sort of seemed to go a bit too sideways, I think, at times.
Agreed. But there was one particular time that really ground my gears, and that was the inside ball to Nico that Nico had put down. Nico would have fallen over the line there. I mean, I only saw it once, but in my opinion, he would have fallen over. If he just run, he'd fallen over the line. I was like, come on, please. Love you, Nico. Just do the right thing.
In saying that, Rob, 99% of the time, Nickera catches that and scores too. So I see what he was doing there, but he could have gone himself. He was at speed at that angle, and he could have found the line.
But if you look at Burns and Ronnie's tries, I mean, Ronnie did a lot of work to finish that one off, but that doesn't happen if Nico doesn't run and, do a bit of a jinking and run with the ball in two hands. Neither of those tries happen.
Correct.
Feeling sorry for Mwene. How good was he the last few weeks?
His try scoring streak is broken.
Yeah. Yep. You could see with that knee.
With an asterisk.
Yeah. Asterisks. I'll give him that. Yes, that's true.
He would he have scored the Atkinson try? Atkinson drop.
He would have. 100% he would have. I saw him score one like that for Newtown, I think, in the grand final last year or semi-final. He's strong.
So, all right. Yeah, it's a real shame for Hiroti. He's done really well. I think he's put any doubt to bed whether or not he's a first grader. He's certainly up there, can do a job. Well, definitely not calling him elite or game breaker or anything like that. But there's probably a few teams out there now that might be thinking, if we're a bit skinny, he's definitely worth coming into the team and doing a job for us permanently instead of just being a depth player.
I choose him over either of the Tigers centres.
Yeah. He's on got to think too, he's on a bottom dollar contract. Like he's on one of the lowest contracts just to stay in the top 30 squad. So he's a selfless player. And,
he was a development on a development contract last year as well. So that's pretty sad. All the best to him. Certainly hope injury's not too bad and he comes back from that. MCL is what we heard through commentary. Hopefully, he gets back better and better. Just unfortunate that he is considered a depth player for us and might not get another run for the rest of the year.
Hero's better. Let's face it.
Well, Hero's better, but maybe throw a cat amongst the pigeons. Is Ramian better?
Does Ramian have more potential? Yes. Is he playing better? Probably not.
No, he's not. And look, Ramian is great, and it's one of those ones where it's very noticeable when he's not in the team. We do miss him when he's not in the team. But geez, some of the things he does, it's just you're pulling your hair out on that one. It's like, gosh, come on, Ramian, be better, be smarter, just do it. All right, Rob, have you got
a couple of things I just wanted to get off my chest first. Bird offside for that Silver kick to Silver try, absolutely offside. That was rubbish. Dying with the ball, it's just dumb. All you have to do is just drop the ball on your foot for a second, and then they start at one tackle instead of 0 tackles. It's dumb.
Mm-hmm. That's assuming they pick it up cleanly.
Yeah, that's exactly right. You put yourself in the chance. You don't even have to even kick for in goal. Just drop it on your foot. And then, the stuff can happen. Kennedy was amazing. I'll give you my 3-2-1s quickly. Kennedy 3, Talakai 2 down to 1.5 for how much time he's on the field. That's not his fault. AFB down from 2 to 1.5 for meters, but kept running away from the center of the field for the field goal. What are you doing, AFB? Driving me crazy.
Frustrating. You're right, mate. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Honourable mention to Ronnie. Dumb captain's call, but great first try. Finished off that thing. And that kick inside for Will's try. Amazing balls.
Yep.
Yeah, Ronnie was definitely playing angry, I think, after that challenge. So he was in there. He was doing what he could, but it wasn't enough. And then outside Atkinson, I don't think I saw Atkinson pass him the ball. Did I see him pass the ball out to Ronnie? I don't know. It doesn't jump out at me. In your comments, let us know if we're wrong. We probably are. We normally are. Well,
I feel better, guys. Thanks.
Yep, brilliant, mate. Thank you very much. Go watch a documentary where the perennial losers come back and win the thing at the end, because that might make you feel better.
Yeah. Thanks.
Good luck, mate. Thanks for jumping on. Thanks for having a chat.
Thanks, Rob.
Stick around,
See
watch
you,
the
mate.
show. Keep saying in the comments. But thanks for calling through, buddy. All right. Yep. There you go. Well, that was pretty timid from Rob. I kind of expected him to be a bit more vented than that, but
Definitely
that was
key
good.
holding back that link, Franco.
Yeah, I think so. Tommy here says, so angry, I'm going to hold up traffic somewhere. And then Adelmo comes through again and he says, we've looked good scoring long-range tries all year, but our attack in the red zone has looked awful. So, yeah, touched on that through the play-by-play. Lats, did you want to add anything to that discussion?
Yeah, mate. I just wanted to say our halves still look very confusing. I don't know who's in charge there, and I don't think it can be shared like down the middle. I think someone needs to take the team sort of by the balls, and someone needs to just drop back and do the little safe stuff. But yeah, it's just, I don't know. I just find it very confusing, and it throws out our game management, and it's just a tough watch. I'm
not of the same opinion. I think it was the previous debrief where I defended having two strong playmakers in the team. That said, I'm not sure if it's their decision-making that's causing a problem or just more the structure of the team holistically, because it looks as though we've gone back to, a couple of settlers, couple of crash plays, set ourselves up for a play left or a play right and throw all our eggs in that one basket. And sometimes it comes off, which is great, but a lot of the time, especially lately, we're just looking clunky. We don't have people running the right lines, or they're not at speed. It's sort of catching the ball flat-footed. But also, we don't seem to have a role for everyone potentially in play. So, we spend our time doing crash plays and hit-ups and setups. Obviously, nothing's going on there. But when we do get our play, it really seems to be a scenario where there's a couple of people in that direction where the ball's heading their way, not really looking like a genuine threat. They're not running hard at the line, or they're not cutting back in. Their hands aren't out ready to receive the ball. It's clear they're not part of that play, and it just makes the decision process easier for the defenders. But it also gives the playmakers less options for what they want to do. If everyone is in motion, if everyone's ready to receive the ball, maybe they get the ball. That might not be what the play is, but if the playmaker, be it Hines or Trindle, sees a defender lazy or overcommitting, bang, you've got an option that you weren't going for originally, and that's something that we can take advantage of. And we just don't seem to have that at the moment, which is, I'm going to say weird, because our team definitely has a couple of plays where you see it. You see everyone in motion, everyone running hard, everyone an option for the playmaker. But it just seems we don't have many of those plays. And if we're not in the right spot for that play, it's let's try a slingshot without Moylan and it doesn't look as good. So, yeah, I'd like to see a bit more practice or a bit more effort in that regard. All that said, we are scoring points. It's just seems to be a little bit less consistent than it has been in the past.
And a lot more bombed opportunities, I've noticed. I thought that Ramian pass to Stone Street that went out over the sideline, I thought Ramian could have gone himself there. He's strong enough, and he really had no one in front of him. I think it was Buller was sliding over to Stone Street or Taruva, and mate, he could have scored himself there. And usually he will go himself. The one time that he passes, and it's an absolute howler over the top of Stone Street's head. So,
well, I mean, geez, I mentioned Ramian with Rob on the call. Ramian's passing game, it's got a lift.
He's playing himself out of an Origin jersey this year. He has.
I reckon. He's either got a.
I don't like to say that. But
got to practice his pass. He's either got to get it so that it's effective. He's either dying with the ball with a man out wide begging for it, or he throws it too hard, too high, too backwards, too forwards. It's just so hit and miss. Now, I've got to say that we had a commenter that I think really nailed it, and I apologize for not remembering who it is, but they sort of said, look, maybe he just misses having Katoa out there. Katoa knows his game. He knows where to position himself, and that could very well be the case. But
just that trust between the two of them.
Yeah, we're what, eight rounds in now. Stone Street's not going anywhere for another 15 rounds. Maths is probably wrong there, but point is he's going to be there for a fair chunk of this season. Practice it, get it working, find out the groove that you've got outside your man. So I think that's something that really needs to get fixed up, because we always look better going left, but we seem to go right more often. And right is where Ramian is. It's just not doing it for us. So yeah, look, Eldelmo, that hand up, is he claiming that comment? Could be. I'll give it to you, mate, until someone says otherwise.
I was about to high five him. I didn't know what was.
Yeah. 12 from 121. I think he backs you here, lads. He says there's no leadership when needed. Leadership is one thing. I also might throw out a bit of a controversial comment here. We're a bit of a dumb football team. There are things that you would like to see the team do or be aware of, and we just don't take advantage of it, and we just don't look at it. Speaking of, do we want to touch on all the bombed opportunities when it comes to making a field goal attempt, right? Look, it didn't come off for them, but basically when the Tigers had their attempt, Api Coruscant was calling that whole thing. He held up the number of hit-ups he wanted. He pointed where he wanted them to run, and then pulled the trigger. As we said, maybe it was because AFB was charging hard at Luai and that threw him off, but didn't come off for them. But at least they all knew what they were doing, knew their role, got into position and took a shot. We had multiple opportunities about 10 minutes out to get ourselves 1 point in front. We're not saying 1 point wins us the game, but it certainly puts pressure on the opposition. And we just didn't take it, or we put ourselves in a spot on the field where we weren't able to take it, whether it was AFB running wide, and I think we've got here, I think someone made a comment, AFB running wide, or someone taking an extra hit up, going too close to the try line so the defense is right in your face. All these things, it should just be not just the ability to take a field goal, to be in the right spots, but to know when to take a field goal. Yeah, so what? It's 15 minutes out, 10 minutes out, second tackle. Doesn't matter. If the opportunity is there, you should be able to get the boys ready and ice that. What do you reckon, lads? Is it leadership, or am I throwing shade at them by saying we're a dumb football team?
Yeah, mate, I think it is. I think it just comes down to on-field game management. I don't think Fitzy's a stupid coach. He knows what he's doing. He's been a part of, football his whole life over several teams, and he's been successful. He knows what has to be done, and I'm sure it's being coached. And I know things, a bit of ad-lib stuff out there on the field, things change, but there were multiple times there where we should have, pulled the trigger on the third or fourth tackle, and yet we're running 5 meters out, And I know you've got AFB charging onto the ball there, and there's massive chance of going over. But, mate, you take your chances when you can. You don't want to overplay your hand and make it harder for yourself. And it just comes down to on-field management.
Yeah, I think it's as a fan, it certainly kills you watching that. And you know what? It's not the same as being on the field. There's not that same pressure. You're not making the same decision in the same decision space. get all of that. But, that's what we should be training for. That should be something that we're at least aware of. I think that those first couple of sets, as I said, when it was about 10 minutes out, we didn't even look like we were considering a field goal. And I would have, who's to say they didn't have a chat on field and go, no, we're going to go for the try. We'll have another crack next time we're down. Quite possible that happened and we're selling the team short. But ultimately, as an observer, it didn't look like that was on the cards. It didn't look like that was something they were going for. And in the end, well, it would have made a big difference. 12 from 121 agrees. He says, why we didn't try and score a field goal is beyond me. Who is in charge, Nico or Braden? Yeah, correct. 121, we sort of just touched on that. Lats wants someone to take ownership of the team. I'm okay with them sharing it, but yeah, someone needs to make the call. Is it Brayley? Should he be the one? He is technically the most experienced in the team in certain scenarios, in certain positions of the field. The pass comes from him. The whole play starts from him. Should he be the one calling the shots and pushing people where they need to go? So anyway, Rob comes in here and he says, Franco, we are not in the same decision space, but I don't expect them to make the right decision but I don't expect them to make the right decision at my workplace either. Yeah. So you're right, Rob. Yeah, they should be training for it. Definitely echoing me. I hope I'm not giving them too much of an out there, but yeah, we expect more from our team. 121 then also says, you can see the talent in this team and we should be a top 4. Liam says the Tigers and Raiders games might cost us top 4 in the long run, gut-wrenching. Yeah, you're right. Absolutely could cost us a top 4. Both games were winnable. But I mean, I would even throw the Bulldogs game in there. There's a lot of similarities between this game and the Bulldogs game, where it was basically an enthusiasm scenario, right? A commitment. They were full of energy, full of running. Felt we were the better team. We were sloppy, no doubt about it, but we were stronger. We were running harder, especially in that second half. You've just got to look at the stats in that first half. They had about 60% possession with the wind, everything going their way and only 4 points in front. That second half, we should have really just ragdolled them and taken the game away from them. They even had a man down in that second half. Yeah, we should have done a lot more and should have taken the biscuits there in that one. I think it's something that we if not regret because it's cost us a top 4. It's certainly something I'd like to see learnings come from. There's a lot of excuses that can be made, but we've said every time we come up against a weak opposition and win, it's like, yeah, we've learned our lesson to not take these weaker teams for granted. This kind of feels like that. You've got to have that intensity up. You've got to be ready for a big fight, and we just didn't seem to have that. Rob says, yeah, we were outkicked in the Bulldogs game, but not today. Definitely not. And then what have we got? Here from 121 again, he says, Liam, it is scary as watching us score length of the field tries and then bombing so many easy tries. Yeah, I don't know if that was a comment for Liam, because I haven't seen a comment that he's referring to, unless it's just that missing the top 4. But Latz certainly mentioned it earlier that we do seem to be bombing a lot of opportunities, converting those tries, something we're not doing at the moment. So yeah, we've got another comment here from Sess. G'day guys, why aren't we chasing offloads? The boppers were bending the line with no one looking for the opportunistic offload. Did Brails duck out of dummy half at all? Yeah, he did, mate. He had a couple of darts, a couple of pretty successful ones actually as well. One of them was the one that set up the Will Kennedy try. Now, as far as offloads are concerned, we've got a couple of pretty good offload merchants in Kafusi and Talakai, acknowledging that Talakai threw an offload to the opposition. That said, he felt he was being, not to put words in his mouth, but he felt as though he was being dragged over the sideline when he threw that. So I think if he knew he wasn't gonna go over, he probably held on to that. But both Kafusi and Talakai generally pretty good with their offloads in looking where their support players are and holding on to it if it's going to be a silly pass, not throwing it. AFB is pretty good offload as well. So we do have them. I think the scenario is, Sess, and you've sort of hit the nail on the head there, is no one is there looking for that offload. That's probably some of the knock on Kennedy we've had over the season. Kennedy's obviously been on fire, been absolutely dynamite, but he's not trailing down the middle of the field looking for those offloads. More often than not, it's just Brayley standing there waiting for the play the ball, and the ball pops out for him and he's flat-footed, and then he turns around looking for someone to take a hit up. It is a bit of a shame that we're not ready for that. We're not, taking advantage of that. You sort of see some other teams. I think a good example for me is the Raiders. Plenty of offloads come out of the Raiders, but they're offloads that generally gets them over the advantage line with lots of people running ready for that. And they really look good when they're offloading. Maybe it's just because we, the Sharks, are pretty poor at defending offloads as well, that everyone else offloading looks really good. But yeah, I'd like to see some more of that. So now I've given Kennedy a bit of a knock there, mate, in terms of him not trailing down looking for an offload. But you want to give him some props because he did have a pretty good game.
Oh, mate, he had a doozy. And I thought what I've liked from Kennedy this year too is injecting himself into our attack in the back line, in the structured play. Maybe not so much in, in that sort of ad-lib sort of style, but he's been amazing, mate. His solo efforts, I think we just need to keep re-signing him to one-year contracts and using that contract leverage. But he's a gun. Like, we'd be crazy not to re-sign Will Kennedy, and especially given the injury to Liam Eisen and now Cade Dykes.
Yeah,
I think he's got to be our long-term fullback because he'll get snapped up in a heartbeat by any team that's sniffing around looking. And, mate, he's just been he's been our most consistent player this year, and he's an absolute weapon. He's worked on his defense, his positioning, and he's just a gun.
Yeah, he's really shown, I feel, year-on-year improvement. Each year he gets someone knocking him for something, and then, he rides the waves like everyone up and down, but comes back next season after a preseason under his belt, fixing that.
He's
that
worked on his
thing
game.
that he's worked on his games. Something that was the key knock on him that season. He comes back the next season and he's way better at it.
Yep.
And he just gets better and better. Look, he's probably not. He's not elite. He's not going to be talked about for State of Origin in the next couple of weeks. But he's leading the Dally M's. He's certainly one of our most consistent performers. And in all honesty, he's not $1 million player. We're not offering him huge money.
No.
I'd say he deserves a pay rise from what he's getting. Not
100%.
Not really knowing what he's getting, but I'd give him a pay rise, assuming there's space in the cap. But you're getting a really solid player for a reasonable amount of coin. He's got good combination with Tricky. They've come through the grades together. I think it's a no-brainer to push a piece of paper in front of him and see if he signs it. As you said, especially our depth being tested now. We've got Ison down with an ACL. We've got Dykes down with a dislocated knee. Atkinson's going to the Dragons. Hiroti is an option, I guess, but I think it'd be a brave man to say that he's better than Kennedy. So yeah, it's certainly something that I'd be a bit upset and a bit nervy at the moment if we don't try and lock him down now. I think cards have fallen in his favour.
100%.
I've got a crackdown of my own. You ready for this?
I'm ready. What do you got?
I am pretty sick of the almost Shepherds. The
Yep.
Tigers today
Plethora.
So many times, almost shepherd, almost obstruction. Oh, I'm just going to stop and let me get tackled. But it happened so many times this game that no, they didn't get tackled because we would just stand around and watch them. They would then either correct their mistake or the ref would kind of let it go because they would sort of wander a little bit away from the path and be like, well, you've been given an opportunity to be tackled. You weren't tackled. So I guess no penalty. And it just bugs me. It's like that was a botched play. You've done something wrong. Either hit the deck or call a penalty. If you stand around and wait for something, I think you've still taken a bit of an advantage, right? You've now got a broken defensive line in front of you. Everyone was expecting a call or, them to hit the deck and not. The Tigers did that almost every second set, it felt like.
Especially in that second half too. And what you're not talking about just with around one player. You're talking about 3 or 4 players running behind 3 or 4 players. Like, total disadvantage to our defensive line, as you say, and just made to they were just able to play on and no penalty for it. But and another one that frustrated me too, I thought on several occasions, just going back to the Brayley comment before, Brayley should have got penalties for running at unsquare markers and where they've gotten involved, and just whistle in the pocket and nothing to see here.
Yeah, it was certainly an interesting one, wasn't it? Because in the first 30 minutes, the ref was blowing the pee out of the whistle there for inside the 10s, offsides, not squares, and then it just sort of went away, and we didn't get anything from that. I was surprised at a few calls that Brayley didn't get. But you see that every week. Brayley jumps out and doesn't get a call. It must dent your confidence to have a quick dart, see someone offside or not square, get belted for your troubles, and then not get a penalty for it. So
100%.
It's hard. Rob says, thanks very much for the catharsis. Says Kennedy gets his 3 points. He was thinking more of Tricky chasing them. If he pushes the go button, other players instinctively follow. Yeah, Tricky, it'd be nice to see Tricky following up for offloads as well. Same as Hines. We know Hines has a really good running game as well. I guess it depends when and where for a playmaker to get followed up and take the offload, because if they get tackled with the ball and it's on they're in traffic or it's on the 4th or the 5th, it's sort of we've discussed how at the moment we seem to be a set up the next play kind of team, and if your half is not there for that, setting up the next play is pushed back and it just ruins your dynamic. Liam comes through with a really good question here. He says, does Nickera get suspended? And if so, do we name Talakai or Jesse in that spot? I would be very surprised if Nickera gets suspended, probably a fine.
Suspension. Yeah, given that he saw 10 in the bin, I think that gets taken into account. There was, he was in a wrapping motion. I didn't think there was much in that tackle, to be honest. I didn't think it was a sin-binnable offence in the first place. So
10 in the bin. It was pretty soft. Luai didn't fail his HIA, so he wasn't injured, came back to play, which was a thing in and of itself. Finally one of these players going off for HIA, because it's certainly a bugbear if it's called a high tackle. Why are these guys, especially high enough, forceful enough for someone to be binned? Why are they not getting tested for HIA? So finally, Luai goes off to get tested. But yeah, all of those things I think means he's safe. Probably a fine. We won't fight it, knowing us, we're the Sharks. So yeah, just a fine and carry on.
Roll it out, Nicker, and you'll be right, mate.
Yeah. That said, I do like the option of what happens if Nickera is out. Certainly something for brain food. I reckon, throw Jesse there, as in Calhoun. because the less disruptions to the team, the better Talakai stays playing his role on the bench. You don't have to worry about can he play 80 minutes or not. There was some speculation towards the end of last season after spending most of the season on the bench. He didn't quite have the ticker for a full game anymore. Debates out on that because we don't have enough of a subject size or subject sample. But yeah, I'd put Jesse in there. The other option is Hohepa. So we're not really short in that role, and there's a couple of kids that could debut there as well. So yeah, it's certainly the spot that we're probably got plenty of depth in. So I wouldn't be stressing. Obviously, none of them are the level of Nickera, and we'd be missing some punch and some defence there. But yeah, I wouldn't worry about who to go and who would fit there. But yeah, Talakai stays doing what he's doing. I definitely think that Talakai showed that he deserves more minutes because his second stint in this match, I know he had the win behind the back, but that second stint towards the end of the game, we called for it last week. We wanted more of him. We wanted to see him at the back end of the game. It seemed as though he basically got the Atkinson minutes because Atkinson was in the centre. So Talakai coming in those last 15, he looked good. He looked dangerous. Really lifted the intensity of the team. We sort of gave Nico credit for running the ball more, but how much of that was off the back of the fact that Talakai was making meters for us? It was a bit more of a 1-2 punch. Him, AFB, it was looking good. So yeah, I think he hopefully gets more minutes moving forward. What do you reckon, mate? Was Talakai good?
Yeah, I thought he was great, mate. I thought had some barnstorming runs. We touched on that offload that went astray, but I thought he had plenty of go forward for us. I love having him off the bench. I still would love to see him in that centre spot over Atco. And I think just going to Liam's comment, I think if Nickera does get suspended, it does create a bit of a conundrum for us because we're going to need to, and Atkinson does play in the centres, we're going to need to bring Jesse up anyway. And if Atkinson's covering Hiroti there, then it's going to have a bit of a mix up off the bench. But we are pretty slim there. Maybe we'll see a Hohepa Peru come in there or something. But yeah, I thought Talakai was gun for us, mate. Plenty of impact. It's good to see that coming off the bench as well. So either way, I'm happy with him being on the field.
Yep. Benjamin comes in with a nice comment here. He says, love the debrief, boys. Not sure why more fans aren't watching. Definitely helps me after a loss. Well, thanks very much, Benjamin. Like, subscribe, tell your buddies. But look, we do get more people listening on Spotify. We get people who catch this on delay. It's not all the live viewers that you guys here are experiencing. But look, we love the live viewers. The more live viewers, the better. It gets that engagement going. We love chatting to you, seeing your comments. So thanks very much for hanging with us and yeah, decompressing with us after a loss or celebrating with us after a win. It certainly makes it worthwhile. 121 says, if we clean up a few things, we could still be a serious threat this year. 100%. Very, very good comment there, 121. What do you reckon, lads? You're the most optimistic of us. You've got us coming, second at the end of the season?
Second, mate. Yeah. And for this very reason, the fact that it is an extremely winnable comp. Anyone can beat anyone on the day. The bottom of the ladder can beat the top of the ladder. We've seen it for the last 7 rounds. You just got to stay in touch, get through this travel period. And when we get, a few boys back on deck, get Teague back, get Iro back, I think we can really start to, to put our campaign into place and steamroll into the second half of the season. Just these tight losses are making it really hard for us to do that, and we're making it harder for us at the back end of the season. Like we used to win these little scrappy dog fights, and being on the other side of them, it's heartbreaking. But it is only early in the season. There's another 20 rounds to go, and 19 rounds to go, and mate, we're 100%. We're in touch with the top 4 finish for sure.
Yeah, I think we've got too much talent across the team, especially when compared to other clubs. I think we're definitely in with a shot. We're going to give this competition a fair shake. I'd rather have the yips now in the first half of the season and work on it than find that we've got some problems later on in the season. Arguably, this has been our toughest draw for a few years. So we've got to remember the last couple of years, no draw is easy. You play everyone once anyway, but there were elements of, the right time or the right location, origin affected, all that sort of stuff, that it arguably suited us well. But in this scenario, look, we can't say that. So this is probably the hardest we've found the start to a season, and we're still performing pretty well, especially in comparison to the whole comp. So I wouldn't be feeling too bad. And look, if we want to try and take a silver lining or a rose-colored look at this, would we have felt? It's a dumb question. Yes, we would have felt better, but how would we have felt winning that game by 1? I don't think we would have been patting ourselves on the back and saying, yes, we're good. How good are we? We're going to storm this competition and minor premierships. Here we come. I think we can take that loss and maybe let that nail hammer harder. That we should have won. We didn't win. What are we doing wrong? Let's look at ourselves. Let's try and fix this up. So, am I being too fluffy there, lads? Is that something
No.
we do? Should I be
No, I think
yelling
that's
away?
a fair comment, mate. I think that's a fair comment, and I think we can learn a lot from this, and a lot of that comes down to fifth tackle options. I think we'll definitely be looking at that. Field goals and the structure, the lead up to them. It's definitely a game to learn from. We're a pretty injury ravaged side at the moment. Tigers pretty much full strength. Not to mention we had troops going down during the game. So, mate, 100% we'll learn from this. And I wouldn't have been over the moon with a 1-point win. I would have been stoked to get the 2 points, but performance-wise, I think we still would have had the same questions coming out of it.
Definitely, yeah. Pardon me. I think it's one of those things that I wouldn't be counting us out yet. I think we're still the team that can do things this season. Confidence might be dented in the fan base, but really, I don't know. Let's try and use this as an opportunity to come back better and stronger. Speaking of which, Aldomo says, well, now we have the Eels coming off a bye and us coming off a 5-day turnaround. This will test our resolve and mental strength, especially after a loss. I'd hate to go back to back. We saw what happened last time Moses came back for the Eels and gave a masterclass against us. So it's not his first game back. He's done that already against the Tigers. Maybe a little bit of a just business as usual for him coming up next week. But I'd love to win. The thing I take out of your comment though, Adamo, is Eels coming off a bye. That's something that I think we need to consider as well when looking at the ladder. We haven't had a bye yet, and I think we've got really well placed byes in that the later the better. So if you look at half the comp that are 2 points ahead of us or 2 points close to us, they've had their byes. We've still got them in our back pocket. I think we're doing well there. And the Eels, oh gosh, tune in on Tuesday. We're definitely going to discuss that one. I won't say CK is a closet Eels supporter because we all know he's a closet East supporter, but he may have relations that are all over the Eels. So yeah, so he might have a bit to say about the Eels coming up next week. And then Cess comes in and he says, in all honesty, do we lose anyone for State of Origin? No, mate, we don't. I don't think anyone is in line for that. There might be some murmurings about Brayley, but he won't get a run unless there's some injuries in front of him. I think Lats mentioned earlier. He's not getting enough minutes on the field. He's sort of a forgotten man at this stage, I think. If he was back to playing 80 minutes or at least 40 minutes, you could maybe say that's a good shout. There's just too many good back rowers and utilities. I mean, you got to look at the Bulldogs, right? They've got almost their whole pack is full of utilities. So you pick one of them and they get a go, Preston or something like that. Yeah, Talakai misses out. Ramian, as you said, Lats, I think he's done himself no favours. So he's gone. Sonia kicks in about Kennedy. No, unfortunately, fullback is pretty stacked there. You've got Edwards and Tedesco in front of him. If they're not available, then you've got Latrell and Turbo. So take your pick. I don't think Kennedy gets a look in, unfortunately. And then Adelmo says, "Yeah, we get 3 girls in the women's competition."
Well played.
Which is great. Well done, girls. Congratulations on your inclusion of that match, and that I believe is Thursday coming. So I'll be looking forward to that. The women's Origin match is actually pretty good viewing. If you're a skeptic or you haven't given it a shot, there's nothing much better to do on a Thursday. Tune in and give it a watch. It's not bad stuff. That said, probably preaching to the choir considering we're all footy heads here. You touched on it, Lats. The field goal knowledge training. What are we doing there? Are we going to come at this and give it a big, let's just kick a field goal every game? Are we going to go crazy like that? Or are we...
No, I just think we're going to be doing a lot of work behind the scenes.
They're going to do it behind the scenes and then pull it out next time it's needed.
We we'll see a few going into halftime maybe, but no, look, Hines showed. I know he had a howling wind behind him. Showed he can kick them. He can kick one. It was just the delivery of the ball when we pulled the trigger. Yeah, I think someone just mentioned in a comment. I think it was Sonia, just saying how Fitzy's so calm in the press conference. He says we go away and work on a few things, and that's exactly what we need to do. And yeah, look, as I said, we've got 3 there that can kick them. We've got, with Atkinson being on the field, I would have liked to have seen, I don't know if they would have been expecting it, seeing him run in and slot one. But yeah, mate, we work on it behind the scenes. We get better at it and we move forward there.
Fair enough. Were you surprised that Trindle, especially with the breeze behind his back, didn't go for more 40-20 attempts? We know he's got it in him.
Yep. Especially in that second half, I thought he might have even pulled the trigger on one in the Golden Point, in that second stanza of Golden Point. We didn't have to. We made some decent breaks downfield, but yeah, very surprised we didn't exploit that. Just as I'm surprised we didn't exploit the overlap when we had the extra man on the field. I just thought we played pretty conservative up the middle football, and I think we could have really just strong armed them and maybe got another 4-pointer there.
Yeah, I think he only maybe attempted one. But almost every time we were in our own set, in our own half, I would have liked to have just seen him step up and take a boot. I don't think it was much wrong with giving it a crack. You either get it and happy days, or you miss it and they're deep in their own 20. So
or you kick it out on the full.
I'm ignoring the whole fact that he could potentially kick it out on the full, but
rose-coloured, mate, rose-coloured.
Yeah, exactly. You live by the sword, you die by the sword. Harley says next week is Magic Round, so Eels up there in Brisbane. All right, we've got 2.0. He's dialed in and he's coming in late. I don't know what mood he's in. He's probably going to come in for a tear. Hopefully,
is it 8:30 yet? No, not yet.
Yeah, PG, mate, PG. Hopefully this length of time, this amount of water under the bridge, he's listened to our perfect analytical discussion about everything that's right and wrong with the sport. He's just going to come in and say, yeah, guys, you know your stuff. Or is he just going to unload? Let's see. What do you got for us, Williams 2.0?
I would never say that in a million years, boys.
Oh!
I've been at the pub. That's why it's taken me so long. I'm sitting in the car at the moment. So
you're not driving, are you?
I'm not driving. My lovely Sonia's picked me up. Listen, let's be honest. First half was abysmal. We just didn't have the enthusiasm to match it. We knew you had to Leichhardt, and I'm going to be quite honest. I picked the Tigers in the tipping. purely based because it was at Leichhardt. They get the calls there. We had to be perfect, and we were far from perfect tonight. Especially that first half. I thought Nico tried too hard in the first half. Just let it come to you. Just what they should have done with that kind of wind, defend your asses off in the first half. Just don't worry about making mistakes. Don't make mistakes and just defend. Get the kick into as far as you can up, because you saw from the dropout from Trindle, it was about a 30k, 35k wind, and it went 20 meters into the crowd. You're not gonna get many points on that. Ronnie's try at half time was unbelievable. But other than that, we consistently turned the ball over when we had opportunities. We didn't make the right options. We didn't do any good kicking. Nico was obviously pretty average in the first half kicking. Can't take anything out of the first half apart from the try at half time. Second half, we were much better with the wind. I thought I was watching it at the pub, and I saw Nico hit the post from about 48 out, 45 out, whatever it was. And my heart just sank, because that was his moment, and it was an inch to the right, and it's over.
Yep. And up goes his confidence.
And here comes the keyboard warriors and the press saying Nico can't lead us to a victory when he was an inch away. Like, most people don't get it even on target from that far out, let alone hit the post. So I felt sorry for him. I felt sorry for a couple of players. I thought Cronulla Blake was outstanding. Really took it to Terrell May. My problem in the first half is we couldn't get that bastard on the floor. I don't know what he's eating at the moment, but give some of our boys that, because we had 3 or 4 in a tackle, and he'd just be like standing there going, "What are you talking about? Like, what's this that I can't play footy?" Roosters got rid of him because footy's not his priority. The boy's an animal.
Pretty good player.
He's an unbelievable player. But Cronulla Blake was by far our standout in the first half, as well as I thought William Kennedy, our man of the match by a long way. He's just in elite form at the moment, and I've been a big detractor of his for a while, based on positioning, not because of his attack or of effort, but his positioning. But even his positioning today was on point. I couldn't fault him at all. Yeah, Ronnie, I thought, had a great game. Of course, I leave him on my Supercoach bench for today, and he goes out and pulls out over 100 points. Unbelievable.
Mate, what do you make of Ramian the last couple of weeks? And because I know you're a massive fan of Stone Street, when he does
Goat Street, thank you,
passes
lad.
when
Goat
he shouldn't when he does. I don't know. I just thought I don't know. Something's going on there with Ramian.
Ramian doesn't trust him. It's as simple as that.
That's
the only thing you can detract from.
Katoa connection, the Katoa factor, you reckon?
And I think if you look at it, Ramian and Katoa probably played over 75 to 80 games together minimum. You get a kid on the right who's got a hell of a lot more speed and a bit more X factor about him. It takes a while. It's just like any other combination, Lassie. It's your halves take over 50 to 75 to 100 games together to get it clicking like this. And it's going to be the same for Ramo, but Ramian's just got to let his footy do the talking. He's got to let his offloads go. He's got to let his tackling. The connection's not there at the moment. We saw flashes of it last week where he flicked it to Stone Street or quick tap on or whatever it was.
Yep.
And it was a try. There was a couple of times tonight where I was saying Stone Street's open for that flick that you love to do, but you're holding it onto it. Why? There was that time in the second half where he tried to do it, and I think it came back for a penalty to us, and he threw it behind Stone Street, where he's kind of just held onto it for a fraction of a second, and he's let it go. Whereas if it's Katoa, he's just batting it on. Bat it on for Stone Street, because Stone Street because he's not as polished as Katoa, he's still a shitload quicker.
Yeah.
You need to let him go as soon as you get the ball. And maybe that's a senior player leadership group saying, mate, just let it run. Maybe it's a Nico or a Trindle thing. Cut Ramian out for a second. Just give it to him, because he's so lightning quick that if he gets on that outside of him, he's going to make it work. So that's a combination. As I said, it's a combination thing, but you've got to trust. If you're playing next to someone, you've got to trust them. And I think a couple of times tonight we got found out that there's a couple of sections of the field where they're not trusting each other. Your man Moini Horodi, I know he's playing on one leg in that first half, but how he gets beaten by Stafford Toa on that little jinking out, and just pats it on to Ruba. That's a poor play. You know Stafford Toe is a big boy. You know he's going to palm you off. Oh, hang on. Lights have gone out. I haven't paid my electricity bill in the car.
This is the best you've looked since you've been on camera, mate.
I love you too. There we go. You've got to go low on that boy. You've got to go low and just take the tackle because they're 20 out. They don't have a hope in hell of getting to the try line. Yet that little jinking away, because you go high, he palms you off. Draw and pass, off you go. It's defensive fragility at the moment that is costing us big. And I thought we were in that game up into our eyeballs, but for a couple of mistakes.
Yeah, I think you make a fair point, Williams 2.0, but geez, yeah, I'd like to, like I said, it's been eight rounds. Doesn't have to be perfect, but I'd like to see a bit more confidence from Rami in there. We've seen that Stone Street's got good hands. Doesn't have to be perfect. It's just got to get it out there. See what happens.
Fitzy's putting him out there for a reason. If he wanted Harodi on the wing, he would have put Harodi on the wing. We could have put Talakai to centre instead of Atkinson. Now I didn't get to watch the whole second half. Maybe he did that, but I would have liked to have seen Atkinson be on the bench a little bit longer and put Talakai out there, get another forward on, because Talakai knows what he's talking about. Even if you switch the centres around at that stage and put Talakai back on his favoured left with Mulatalo, which there's a combination there. But you know, is it perfect? No. We should have won. Yes. I think we're a bit worse off than we thought we would be at this time, and I'm calling it now. Don't sleep on Para next week. Mitch Moses is back.
100%.
He
Jack
killed us
Williams
last
is
week.
back on board. Yep.
He caught us last year. Fuck Jack Williams. I'm sorry. I just got slapped from the missus as well. Don't sleep on him. He tore us to shreds last year. Sorry. Coming off an 8-week layoff, and he's now had a game and a bye to get his ankle right. Don't sleep on Para, because if we don't, it's a 5-day turnaround. We've got to go up to Brisbane. We've got to recover from this game. If you're not at your fittest, don't play. We need everyone switched on, focused, and we need to put this game in the rearview mirror pretty quick.
And it's going to be a big stadium too, big atmosphere. So got to try and silence the crowd, or at least win them over to your side for any of the neutrals. Well, I don't know if I can accept your 3-2-1, Williams, if you didn't watch all of the second half, but hit us with it. Let's see what you got.
All right, I've got 1, Adam Fanua-Blake, 2, Ronaldo, 3, William Kennedy.
Very good. I like it. Awesome.
I saw more than enough to figure out who the best players were, mate.
Mate, it's certainly. I think there was definitely some players that stood up and held their head high in that one.
Yeah. Can anyone tell that Kennedy's playing for a contract?
Yeah, well, we've certainly said that. That was Latz's comment.
I'll be honest with you, mate. I've told you a few times, I love playing fullback, my favourite spot. I have never seen this bloke play like this before.
In saying that,
he's doing well.
We just mentioned before, I don't know if you heard Williams, Franco was saying his adaptiveness and he's willing to better his game, Kennedy. He doesn't take a back step on anything he's worked on. So I think he gets that contract. We still get that out of Kennedy. I think he's worked on his game. He's backing himself. He's got all the confidence in the world at the moment. And I think if we sign him, we keep that same Kennedy. I don't think it's just a contract thing, but I think that's helped it get to this.
How old is Kennedy? Is he 27, 28, 29, something like that?
No, younger.
Is he young? He's not 26.
Oh, I mean, I wouldn't say he's anything.
No, he's younger than that. I think he's like 24, 25 or something.
He's playing 24, 25, but he's not that old. He's older than that.
Where are we? Will Kennedy. 28. He's actually 28. He's 28, Franco. He's 28.
So he's coming into his prime. So he's coming into his prime.
28.
We haven't seen this level
3 days ago. He did.
Happy birthday, Will.
William. We haven't seen this level
a week ago
off him before. If we sign him to a 2-year deal. Don't sign him for 3. I know Kate Dykes did his ACL the other day, that poor bugger. But you're 28.
I think he'll sign for 1 with a promise to. I
But how
just
much
think
is
he wants a deal, mate.
It depends on salary cap because we've got to sign Stone Street too. If we don't sign Sammy Stone Street, there'll be
Do we lose you as a fan?
There'll be a one-man ride in Cronulla. I'm telling you that much. I'm telling you now. We got to sign both of them somehow because we don't. When the other wingers underneath him are not that good compared to Stone Street.
I do like what I've seen about Dixon. Totally different player though.
He's not a Stone Street. He's not that speed. We haven't got the speed in the team to be able to let Stone Street go.
Stone Street is definitely the guy that has pace.
We got to sign both of them somehow.
That said, you'd like to think Stone Street is a rookie. There's plenty of wingers out there in the competition. He's probably not going to be high demand from other clubs. So
I'm telling
do whatever
you now,
it keeps him happy.
I think the Dragons would sign him in a heartbeat. I think there'd be a few other teams that would sign him in a heartbeat. Like, there's not much speed on the wings coming through as a 21, 22-year-old. If Sammy wants to stay, he can do a team-friendly deal for the next year or two. We can't be signing him to these one-year deals that we did with Hiroti and the likes in Newtown. We've got to be signing him in long-term.
All right. You've heard it here first, guys. William 2.0 says Kennedy gets signed for 3 years with a clause in his contract that Stone Street needs to be with him.
Yeah, I'll take it.
Legend.
Brilliant, Williams. Thanks very much for dialing in, buddy. I hope there's not much left of the weekend, but have a great one. Take care, and thanks very much once again for dialing in.
Too easy, boys. Have a good night.
Later, mate. Now, I do have a bit of an interesting one, Lats, that I was going to talk about, and 2.0 commented on it, was the wrestle. A little bit of a taboo topic. Not a lot of people like talking about it. But geez, I felt that the Tigers wrestle was a lot better than ours. And we know our coach loves the jiu-jitsu and is getting in there and hands-on with that aspect. But wow, I was pretty impressed with the wrestle from the Tigers there. They seemed to turtle us quite a lot. We didn't seem to be able to get them down the same way. What do you reckon on that one? Was that just me, a bad sniff test, or you reckon you have something there?
No, I did notice that, mate. I noticed it when I think it was Appy turned Brayley over, and really, you could tell they were really going for it to get them onto their backs. Slowing the ruck speed. I thought they were laying over us quite a bit too. I thought they were lucky not to get penalised for that, or we were unlucky. But yeah, no, good observation, mate. I did notice that, especially in that second half. Yeah,
I think that certainly look, that could be again back to that motivation and that ambush scenario. But yeah, it certainly seemed to be something that I noticed. Drop your 3, 2, 1s, guys, in the comments. More than happy to see how the group goes and what groupthink is here in terms of this. Also, let us know if you think Kennedy's going to get any points for a losing team in the Dally M. Let's see what happens there. I don't know what you think. You reckon, Lats?
Yeah, I think he does, mate. I think, look, you could rarely split that game. Yeah, I think Kennedy has to. He has to. Mm-hmm. He has to be second pick, surely.
Yeah, especially now that you get
who would you give to the Tigers?
Double points. Double points.
Yeah. Who can you see for the Tigers played better than him?
Oh, I reckon Galvin's up for a few points.
Yeah.
Probably May. Wouldn't surprise me if Luai gets the token.
De Silva
was okay. Yeah. I guess.
But standout wise, I think Will Kennedy, he's got to get points, surely.
Depends if it's a 9 or a Fox that puts the points on. Yeah, I think Kennedy should get it as well. Had this up for a moment ago. Dan Fitz says, super disappointing. Nothing I can say. Someone else hasn't. We just don't seem to play smart or have premiership level game management. Yeah, that sort of echoes what I said earlier. Dan Fitz, mate, you're right. That game management we don't seem to be a smart football team. There's a few things that maybe on a bye week or something, we'll have a bit of a deep dive into some things I'd like to see addressed from the team as far as game management is concerned, or situational awareness. But yeah, it's certainly something that I think could be addressed. All right, lads. Have you got a score out of 10 for this game for me?
Based on our performance, or just based on the game in general?
Well, I always leave it a little bit vague, a little bit grey. Did you enjoy the game? Now you're going to give points on that, or are you going to
look,
base
I
it on our
dragged the last
performance? Up
game
to you.
down. I dragged the last game down that we lost because we lost. Look, excitement-wise and that, I'm going to give this game a 7.
Okay. Look, looking past the heartache and the disappointment upon disappointment of the loss and the way it was lost, we were sloppy. There were things in there that that were groan worthy. That said, I think it's a 6 for me. I think it's a 6 for me. So I'm not far from you. It doesn't go unnoticed. It was still, yeah, you're right. The heart rate was up there at the end, even though the inevitable occurred. But yeah, that's where I land. So 6. So we're 1 point apart.
Fair enough.
All right, 3, 2, 1s, buddy. What have you got?
Mate, I was just going to mirror 2.0. I had Will Kennedy for 3. I thought his individual was brilliant. Yeah, Ronnie, the work Ronnie did, the meters, the carries, that try, there was no way anyone was stopping him from scoring that try. He got through plenty of players to get there. Forgive him for that challenge and for that knock on that first tackle coming out of our half. But and AFB, the work he put in, and especially with the statistics you pointed out, playing 20 minutes less than May and almost getting over the top of him there, I thought he was pretty good.
Yeah. Look, Thomas Hazelton's not getting much in this debrief. We should probably touch on him because stats-wise and effort-wise, he was pretty good. But he was also the guy that lost us the game.
Yep.
So I don't know if that's why he's not getting much. It's really sort of balanced out. No one's cursing him and no one's praising him. So he's a bit of an enigma in this game. I thought he had a pretty solid game. It's hard to give him any praise, as I said, because of the way the game ended. It's a bit of a heartache, but he had a pretty good game. And I reckon if we win, if that doesn't happen, he's probably in a few people's minds for a 3-2-1, even off the bench. That said, I'm going to go with 1 point for Mulatalo for me. He doesn't get he was great. He was in everything. But there were just periods where I felt he was missing. And that's really odd to say because he always goes looking for the ball. He's always in there. It's just, I guess, a factor of being outside Atkinson and that disjointed scenario where I feel maybe if it was Iro there, you'd probably see a different game. But I do want to say in relation to Ronnie, we know he can kick. We know it's part of his arsenal, and it's great whenever you see him do it. Basically set up that try off his boot, which was great to see. And that was just something we always saw more of when he got more ball. You know, you're running out of room, you're running out of space. Don't die with the ball. Give him the ball. He might chip it through or grab her in field for someone. Magic happens when Ronnie has the ball. So let's see him get the ball a little bit more. 2 points. It's got to be AFB. We did have a comment here a bit earlier from, I'm going to say, I think it was Eldelmo. Oh, geez, I'm scrolling now. We've got so many comments here, guys. Really love it. Well done. It's Jimmy. Sorry, Jimmy. He says, speaking of AFB, are the lads expecting too much of him due to all the preseason hype? You'd like to think that gets ironed out behind closed doors on the training paddock. You can see what he's capable of and what he does. I think it was also discussed that he would get less minutes on the park compared to what he was getting at the Warriors because we've got a better pack around him than what the Warriors had. So there's definitely the intent to share the load. That said, you know, if you look at the last 8 rounds, there's an argument to be saying that he's certainly carrying that pack. He's doing a pretty awesome job. So watch this space, mate. Kafusi's been getting a bit of a knock, but he's getting better and better. Hazelton had a bit of a slow start, but he's getting better and better. Unfortunately, Rudolph and BHU, they've both had injuries. Twice for Rudolph there, missing the first couple of rounds and missing again. Hamlin Ueli, typical slow starter, warms into a season, didn't get much of a chance to warm up because he went down injured. So maybe it's just circumstance around that AFB himself is just rock solid as always, and the rest of the troops are struggling. We know, I think Kafusi had like a finger issue, like a dislocated finger he was nursing, and playing through the pain. So yeah, it's an interesting one. I do think we've got a really good pack, which ultimately is why we keep calling for 4 big bodies on the bench. But let's wait and see. So yeah, he gets my 2, and then yeah, Kennedy gets 3. I don't even think it was due to the couple of flashy plays where he made heaps of meters there. It was just, yeah, his positional play was on point in this match, and it was a shame that ball hit the deck. I don't think he was in catching distance. He was off to the side there, sort of closer to Silva. Someone should have taken that ball. So yeah, that was a bit of a shame. That was Adelmo here. Look, he's got a comment here. Only blemish for Will was maybe letting that ball bounce for their try at halftime. Nico probably should have had a go at it too. Yeah, like I said, I don't think Will was in position to.
I think the ball was pulling away from Will because it had caught in the wind and sort of come back towards the Tigers line. So I'll give Will a pass on that, but there were plenty of bodies around there that could have made a play and were in position to make a play at it.
Yeah, and especially, I guess game awareness again, the amount of time on the clock there. It was just, understanding that we're a man down. You would want to just stifle that, right? Let your defensive line reset, and have another go versus Hail Marying it with a man down. Yeah, it was a bit ugly. But yeah, mate, look, that's the game. That's where the cookie crumbles. That was a bit ugly. It was a bit disappointing. Onwards and upwards, bigger, better, faster, stronger. I don't know. I don't have the motivational speeches. I hope someone in there has, because we need a motivational speech to get us up, get us right for the 5-day turnaround against the Eels at Suncorp, and then build for the rest of the season.
Look, mate, it's going to be tough with all these niggling injuries. I tell you, like we are down in troops. No, like Teague for 2 to 4 weeks now. We're just lucky we've got Calhoun back, as you mentioned. Touched on BHU, Rudolph. Tell you what, you really use a Royce Hunt on the bench right now.
Couldn't we just?
Yeah, mate. It's was that a mistake letting Royce go and signing BHU?
Wow.
Track record. But look, hindsight's a wonderful thing, but
Absolutely. Will be. Anyway, guys, once again, don't forget to like and subscribe. We really do appreciate it. If you missed us live, comment below. If you want to see how the discussion went through that game, jump onto our Discord and be part of the discussion throughout the week with all the fallout and discussions on the future games. We will be back for our weekly live Tuesday night preview where we cover all the hot topics and go through the next week's match. Williams does send his apology for not getting a Chronicles matchup. He tried hard. He really wanted to. He'd done all his research. He just couldn't get the time together to film that one and get it live. So apologies for that one, guys. He's a bit upset about that. He did even send me through some notes. Thanks, Williams, for sending me the notes. But obviously this was a pretty big match with a lot of talking points, so I didn't even get to hit any of those. But yeah, it was something we missed. But we'll make sure we get the Chronicles out for next week's game, and that'll be fine. Any last comments from you, Lats?
No, mate. Put this one in the rearview mirror, and onwards and upwards, we'll be right.
Yeah, very true. Thanks very much, everyone, for hanging with us in the debrief. We really do appreciate it. As I said, absolutely love the live feedback and comments. Not that we don't appreciate you, your non-live listeners and audio-only listeners. We do love you too. I believe whatever system you're listening to us on, there is a like and subscribe option. So give that a bash as well. But until Tuesday, chin up, onwards and upwards. I don't feel like saying up Cronulla, so I won't. I'm just going to say, Lats, thanks again, mate.
Thanks,
And
mate. Legend.
signing off.
For over 50 years, people have come to see the Sharks play. Talent, skill, speed, intelligence, elite level athleticism. That's not these guys. Biased, one-eyed, opinionated. More often wrong than right. They make up for their complete lack of talent with pure dribble, gibberish, and enthusiasm. This is the ET Stand Podcast.